Salutations, Ginger League, and welcome to Super Geeked, where we discuss the latest news on all things super. I'm your host, Susan Sutton, and joining me this week, as always, is Andrew Durning and Kevin Tierney. Gentle dorks, how are you?
Doing all right. What about yourself, Kev?
Yeah, okay. Bit tired.
Yeah, there seems to be a thing. Like every time we log on, we go, "Yeah, I'm all right, but tired." I think that's just it's not just that we have kids' life, that it's just always going to be tired.
It must be.
Mm-hmm. More important, Susan, because you always ask us how we're doing. We never get a chance to ask you, and I think that's a bit sexist. So how are you doing, my dear?
I'm all right. You can see I'm a bit peely-wally today. For those who are not of Scotland, I'm a bit pale. I was at college today and just sort of there's so much going on at the moment. I don't have time to even pick my nose, and believe me, with these nails, right, they are nose pickers, and I don't even have time.
Yeah, you know how we were talking about how we need an IMDb for our visual effects guy Ron Green's knee. I think we're going to need an IMDb for your fingernails because they're getting a lot of traction. People keep talking about them.
Oh, do they?
Yes. Well, mostly asking if they're real, and I'm like, yes, they are.
Yeah, they are. These are totally real. You can see. Well, hopefully you can see that. That's just like the white bit there is the skin of my fingers. Basically, these are my nails.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See, you heard it from the Susan's mouth, because saying the horse's mouth also sounds a bit wrong. Well, you've hit.
Nay, lad, nay.
In fairness, we could say that when it was Ron's knee. It was like, nay, because he has horses.
That's true. He has a horse called Dylan.
There we go. That's a very interesting name for a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say that was an interesting name for a horse.
Well, let's move on from Ron's knee and my fingernails. Although you just got to watch out. If I ever do that on your knee, apparently I do that on my daughter and my grandkids, and they're like, "Nanny, don't do that." Gently, it sends shivers somewhere. I don't know.
It's nice you see your grandkids. Wonder what that's like, mum and dad.
Oh yes. There will always come a day when people will say, I wish I'd made more of an effort, but it's too late then, and hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
but let's move on. So let's talk about Shazam 2 being delayed. Thoughts?
Kev, as always, I'll let you start proceedings.
Well, just everything's a go at DC. I mean, everything's up and down. It's like who's there making decisions? Both this film was supposed to be out, Flash was supposed to be out, Batgirl was supposed to be out, Black Adam was supposed to be out. All four of these films, as of recording right now, only 3 of them were supposed to be out, and 1 of them was supposed to be out in October or November. And yet now there's only going to be 1 this year, and then the rest of them next year. And it's like, why? They're finished. There's nothing needing to be done. Batgirl was just needing a couple of editing things done, some CGI put in, and they're doing reshoots for the Flash now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just the irony is that the one that they were going ahead with is the one that most people didn't want them to go ahead with.
Yeah.
But, as some people may have seen in the Facebook group, I said that DC has a problem with diversity at the moment. I still stand by that, and I got some amount of hate.
You did.
Really?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I got white and nerdy backlash. I really did. So it was a case of I was like, I'm not going to put my arguments down because I want to do a proper detailed video on it and try and see both sides. And who knows, maybe my opinion will change. But at the minute, they're not doing themselves any favors.
No.
Just how it looks.
That's where the block button comes in. The laughing emoticon and the block button.
No, like the guy, let's say that in fairness, like I respect his opinion, and what we do, what talk about these type of things, we have differences in opinion, but we always are able to respect each other's opinion rather than just being like, no, you're a DICK, and blocking. So if it was anybody else, it would have just been straight, done, block. But it's the same deal. We never let the disagreements stop us like respecting each other's work and each other's content.
Sure. I mean, that's the way it should be, not just in this, but in life in general. A lot of people don't agree with my opinions, but it doesn't make them right and me wrong, or vice versa. And I think it's always good to have, it's healthy to have a conversation, have a debate. And if there's loads of people, masses of them, well, it's a mass debate, but if there's loads of wankers out there, well, there you go. If people want to be complete and utter dicks, oh dear, am I lowering the tone of this? But anyway, if people want to be complete and utter dicks, just get a life. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. You do not have to agree with it or disagree with it.
Exactly. Well, and I genuinely thought I wasn't sure if the mass debate one was an intentional or not. Well, because I know you so well, I was like, that's it's literally flirting with the line.
Me, as if. Yes, it was intentional, Andrew.
There we go. I was more leaning towards that, but yeah, I had to be sure.
So tell me about. Sorry, I was going to say, tell me about Shazam.
Shazam basically is a kid that maybe 10, 11, and gets given this magical power by this old dude. It's like, if he says the word Shazam, he turns into like a fully grown man who is like, he's essentially can become Superman by saying the word Shazam. Same kind of power, same kind of skill set, all that kind of stuff. The only difference is he's 11. So for the actor who plays like the adult Shazam, Zachary Levi, it presents a great acting challenge because you're built like a tank. You're an adult, but you still have to have that mind of, oh, what could I do with these superpowers? Oh, can I fly? Not can I fly? Okay, check that one off. And kind of going on like that. So it's an interesting one. It was one of the ones when released in, I believe it was 2019, Kev.
Yes, it was.
When it was released in 2019, I got a lot of praise because a lot of the DCEU movies at the time were dark and gritty. By dark, I mean we actually couldn't see. There was so much like black on it. I went to see Batman v Superman in the cinema, and I fell asleep the second time. I only went the second time because one of my mates hadn't seen it, but it was literally pitch black, and I was just like. So it was really highly regarded because it was a change of tone. There was much more of a comedic aspect to it. It was very engaging, and it had a good story while being entertaining for both kids and adults, which is always a good thing. So that's why it's really confusing, because the sequel has Helen Mirren, it has Lucy Liu, and then obviously you've got the ones like Zachary Levi and the rest in them as well. So it was a really good cast. The trailer dropped at Comic-Con and it looked really good. It was one of the things that I thought, maybe there is a chance for them to claw something back. And they have literally Shazam themselves to the thought of an 11-year-old boy went, nah, I don't like it.
Now, you see, I would have gone and seen that. I mean, Helen Mirren's in it. I absolutely adore that woman. But the fact that you were saying, it's an 11-year-old kid that's suddenly put in this massive body, but he still has his juvenile mind. And, I can visualize some of the stuff that probably would go on.
Yeah, it's like Tom Hanks is big, but with
I would go and
superheroes.
see that.
Yeah.
Aye, it's big, except he's a superhero. Aye.
Exactly. And it's something that, like you said, you would see it. It would be maybe something that we would have to go, explain maybe the premise to you and go, that's interesting. And maybe go along and see it. Whereas you get some films and you're like, don't know how I could swing that to a normie. But that's one in particular. I know the description I gave it of, old guy gives a young boy powers sounds a bit wrong in context. But as a really good movie. They just had the kind of bog standard villain that you need for a first movie, but with Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren both being the bad girls in this, it looked really, really enticing, looked really promising. Because Helen Mirren's not also not afraid to poke fun at herself. Like, she's got a good range. She's been in the Fast and the Furious, for goodness sake. So she definitely has the skill.
She's actually on my telly in the living room at the moment. The Queen's on, as in the film. And I wouldn't normally have watched it, but I saw Helen Mirren and I thought, I'm going to record that. I think she's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, well, it just shows the range from the Queen to, playing a goddess in Shazam 2. And then acting alongside Vin Diesel in the Fast and the Furious. There's range there.
Yeah. If there's any actress I would aspire to become, it's her. She's got such a wicked sense of humor as well. But like you say, the range, she's such a talented lady. But
she is indeed.
yeah, but anyway, how long is it delayed for, Shazam?
March 17th it's out next year now. Yeah, it was actually supposed to be out 2 weeks ago.
And what's the reason for the delay?
Kev?
The Flash.
Yeah.
So they're doing all the reshoots.
Yeah. So basically, Ezra Miller is not only content with screwing his own film, their own film, they are also content with screwing every other film on the roster. Kind of what happens when you have a connected universe of films. You get an actor that bees a DICK, it scuppers everybody else's plans.
Yep.
So if Shazam was due out 2 weeks ago, I take it it's completed then.
Yep, pretty much.
So why don't they put that out while they're reshooting Flash? I don't get that.
Because with superhero films now, there's always an aspiration to build a universe. With the Marvel films, they're all connected in some way. They're either by a timeline or by a sequence of events. So if you released a film maybe out of order, it could potentially give spoilers away for a film that's not came out yet. So you've got to be careful with how you structure it. Because when the pandemic hit, there was a different slate of films for coming out. I believe Spider-Man No Way Home was meant to be the first one that came out. And then COVID hit, and then they had to readjust their plans. Because people were talking about, we're still not getting the Black Widow film, we're still not getting the her superhero film. So they shuffled it around so it would be like the first one to come out. And that meant they had to do some edits and reshoots and tweak some things to make sure that the continuity kind of tied up. So it's the same kind of deal in DC's side. The only difference is their actors don't often be DICKs, whereas DC's does.
Well, let's move on to She-Hulk. The review bombed.
Well, Kev, yep.
Well, I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I don't see how it's getting such bad reviews. I mean, the show itself, it's got a good story. It's thoroughly put itself out there saying it's not really a superhero show, it's a lawyer show. And you can see that it's going to go down that route. And I think people are worried about it being a lawyer show stuck in with superheroes. Whereas we've seen Daredevil, that was a superhero show with lawyers. This is just flipping it.
Yeah, they are doing like a 180 on it, which but for the type of show they're doing, it works. It's basically what would happen if Ally McBeal became big and green. So long as that's one of the interesting things that I'd read from reviewing. But for anybody that isn't aware of what review bombing is, it's where critics are given the film an honest opinion, and then the fans are deliberately marking it down as 1 star or no star, So it drives that percentage because everybody looks on like things like Rotten Tomatoes to check like a score of how well it's performing. The more they put in like the ones or the zeros, like it brings that score right down. There's less interest for people to go see it, less money like being made, more likely cancellations. So
it's basically just people being childish and petty. And
110%.
I just don't get what's wrong with people. You know, I think was it last week I was saying about reviews, and you know, you read reviews in the paper about films or online, whatever. And to me, the worse the review, the better the film, because this is one person's review initially. You know, you'll have somebody going to watch this film and writing their story, their article. That's their opinion. It goes back to what we said at the beginning. Just because a person may not agree with your opinion does not make you wrong or them right. People should judge themselves. And to go on a review site like that and deliberately, for no real reason, just give them 1 star. It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
I actually read a few of the reviews, and one of them was saying, I've never watched it. I've never read the comics of She-Hulk. I don't plan on watching it. But why are they making a female Hulk? Is that because they've done it in the comics? They've done it in the comics, so they've decided, right, we'll give it a go on TV.
And that's the thing that really annoys me, like, because what's the thing that we teach like our kids, like if we're going to give them like something new to eat and they say they don't like it, how do you know you don't like it if you've never tried it? It's the same
that
deal.
argument. I'm sick of having that argument in my mind. That I don't like that. Have you tried it? No. How do you know? I don't like it.
And it's the same deal. That's basically those kids that have, you know, grown up physically but not mentally, and just going and like, I don't think that a woman should be the Hulk. What, and just like trying to stick it down the toilet. And recently, at the time of this recording, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival has just wrapped up, one of the biggest like, arts festivals in Scotland. And a lot of people have been really obsessed with reviews. They're really obsessed with reviews, especially at the festival. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like to go to the festival anymore. I don't really like the festival. I have never performed at it, and I don't plan to. And it's because it's basically an entire festival of review bombing, like for like lesser acts. Like they all go see the big acts, they get the 4 stars or the 5 stars, everything's great, way. Whereas there could be another act out there, well, in a lesser venue, who's up and coming, who's killing it, but not getting the attention. And all they need is one guy to turn up and not like their humor, or girl, or they, what, doesn't matter. Somebody could turn up that writes for a newspaper, gives it a review bomb, and that career is ruined before it's even begun. And people live off those reviews. And I keep trying to say to people, like, it's like when I do reviews, what of things like dropped in like my review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., everybody has an opinion. It's my opinion. What, there is no, it matters. People say no, you can be unbiased and you can try and look at all the different sides. Yes, you can, but at the end of the day, you still are an individual who makes a decision of whether you like it or you don't. So don't judge one person's opinion of your show just because they put it in a paper. Because the rest of the people that go see it could all say it's fantastic, but second you see that review, everything drops, and we'll lose good actors and good comedians and good concepts from it. And it's one of the reasons I really hate the Fringe, and I will be doing something on that a bit more, because people are like, you hate the Fringe and you're an actor, and I'm like, no, a bloke for Airdrie who's great at presenting, and I think the Fringe is a ball bag.
I've never been to the Fringe, and I'm an actress, or I am an actor. Sometimes I have to say actress to make people understand, because if I were to say I'm an actor, they'll say, no, you're not, because you're a woman.
Yeah, because I've never really understood it, because there was the term actress, and then we're wanting to say actor. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And then it was like, oh, but do we say it? Do we say it? So if I was meeting you, what would you prefer that I address you at? Would you prefer, well, obviously aside from, Susan? What?
Actor. I think.
Cool. Just need
You
to
know,
know.
There we go.
yeah,
We always get on tangents in shows like this, and that
We
we've
do.
just had one, but it did tie into the review bombing because newspapers are basically, they've been review bombing since they could write in a pen and a bit of paper. Hell, the Bible review bombed Jesus so much they crucified him. There you go.
I mean, the review bombing really started for Marvel with Black Panther because how can a black superhero fit in? And it's like, are you that thick?
Mm-hmm.
Just blatantly being racist that a black superhero can't be that. Well, have you seen Blade?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That
that
was the key one.
single-handedly saved Marvel from bankruptcy.
100%.
I never
Thank
knew
you,
that.
Wesley. Thank you, Wesley Snipes. We love you.
Yeah, Marvel were not doing very well, so they sold the rights for somebody to make Blade, and they said, right, we'll take 30% of the earnings, and the company were like, right, that's fine. Made the film, massive success, saved Marvel's life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just goes to show. I was going to say when you were talking about the review bombing, excuse me, that one of my classes today in college was about journalism, and we were all asked as a class, who's considering going into journalism, and I said, not me, and she said, why? And I said, because I have a tendency to tell the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because the truth gets you in trouble these days. Really,
It
that's
does.
Mhm.
Yes, it can do. Yeah. So, talking about films being pushed back, Aquaman 2.
That one I am not as surprised about if what is allegedly the reason behind it is that they're taking steps to remove Amber Heard from it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so if that's the case, I can understand that. I get it. But at the same time, I do feel bad for Jason Momoa's Aquaman. It's nothing that he's personally done, yet he is the main character of it, and his own movie is being pushed back because of something that was out with his control. So I feel bad for him, but in a rare twist, I think DC have made the right call on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was expecting more than from you, Kev.
No, it's a fair point. I mean, they do have a lot of disaster control to go with that one because of the backlash that all that court case had, and it's one of the things that DC have done that I don't disagree with.
Mhm.
There was something needed to be done because if they'd kept her in, the backlash would have been hellish. The film would have bombed just because of that, and that wouldn't be fair.
Yeah.
So them doing that is the right thing to do.
It does make you wonder, though. Do you think the reason that they're not pushing the Flash back and really going for it is because Ezra Miller is the main character, whereas Amber Heard is the side character, one of the supporting artists?
Yeah, although apparently her role was supposed to be a lot bigger in this one, and then it came about all the stuff that came out in the court case, and they're like, maybe not. So they rewrote it, refilmed bits, and cut her out a bit more and a bit more. And I mean, they're trying to cover their own back, saying we don't support anything that these people are doing, while they go and just support Ezra Miller.
Yeah, because
he
released the public statement.
Yeah,
them. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry I did those things. I wasn't in a good place. For years, I've not been in a good place. I didn't go and do any of those things.
Yeah, well, even when I was declared having psychosis and removed from my family, I did not go out and punch someone in Hawaii.
Yeah.
There you go. And I did not groom a bunch of allegedly groom a bunch of minors.
Yes, allegedly.
We
You'll
always have to
remember
put
the
allegedly.
word.
We always have to do it allegedly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Or go and commit
So-
felony burglary.
Allegedly.
And that's
Yeah.
that's allegedly, yes.
Right, let's move into Nightwing.
Mm. I'll be honest, this was one I did not actually realize was on the slate.
I hadn't heard anything about it until like 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, we're doing Nightwing. So, that'll be good. Yeah, we're not doing Nightwing. What? You just announced? Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
what's Nightwing? Tell me about Nightwing.
Nightwing is,
Nightwing.
well, Kev, you're more acquainted with the Batman kind of side of it. Well, I will pass the baton to you.
Okay, Nightwing is the original Robin from Batman and Robin, who's grown up and taken on his own mantle as Nightwing. And he's got his own city to save. Sometimes he helps Batman, sometimes Batman comes and helps him. And a lot of people were thinking that would make a good show.
Mhm. Definitely.
And they done recently with Titans. They had Nightwing in that as like the main character, and it worked fairly well. And now it's been cancelled. But they were going to do a complete rehaul, completely different universe, completely different Nightwing, different cast. Obviously, there was nothing about casting or anything because it was only like spoke about 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden it's cancelled again. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So it's like they're coming out with all these ideas. They're saying, "Oh, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this." Oh, but we'll cancel that, we'll cancel that, we'll cancel that. In fact, we'll cancel them as well and cancel that one.
Mhm.
And it's insane that it's like there's no structure at all at DC just now.
Yeah. It's like they're just cancelling things and announcing things just to see what sticks. You know what it reminds me of? Any you guys watch Friends when it was on?
Now and again.
Right. So you remember when Rachel was living at Joey's and they were like throwing like bits of like wet paper towel off the wall just to see what stuck? That's DC right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mhm.
They're saying that
Allegedly.
allegedly. They're saying that a lot of the reasons they've cancelled things is because they've done the merger and it's been a completely overhaul. Everybody that's come in is completely different. They've got new ideas and they're scrapping the old ideas because they don't think they'll make money, and they're deleting them in case the taxman comes and says, "Oh, but you've still got that. You can make money from it."
Mhm.
But they're not making
So
money by not making these films.
And
yeah,
if
the
anything,
thing
they're
is,
at a loss.
some of them have been made, like Batgirl. And there's threats of that being completely deleted, so that they can say, "Yeah, we're not ever going to make money off this."
It's
So
still
the
like
taxman
just
can
a
come and say,
It's still like just a publicity stunt to see, that all these different things getting cancelled, or postponed, and it's as if they're testing the public to see which film is going to create the biggest outrage, that's getting cancelled or postponed, and they've probably given it a timeline. And after, say, 6 weeks or 6 months or something, they'll say, right, well, there's more people upset about that film than that film getting cancelled. So let's put more money into that one. And let's come out with a series 2, 3, 4 after it, films 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. No, it's one of
You
the
heard
things
it
that
here first.
yeah, and if not, like, I think DC will be headhunting you, Susan, because that's that's ingenious marketing right there. But and it was one of those things for me, like when I was talking about the whole DC has a bit of a diversity problem, and they opened that can of worms. The irony was there was a comment in there that had said, I would watch Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and that's it. I'm like, okay, so you watch two white guys and a white girl. Okay. You just literally just thumped that point that I had and shot yourself in the foot with it. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah. But that's the point. Like, so they would be looking like Warner Brothers, Discovery, all those ones would be looking for comments like that to back up their point, saying, yes, but the mainstream market wants to see these ones, so we are going to make these ones. That's why they're now going to do the Batman 2 with, Twilight, as I call him. Nothing against Robert Pattinson. He is actually a really, really good actor. Very, very talented. He said it himself. He did them for the money. Understandably so. And since we've kind of ran through the points, there was a couple of things that dropped that I want to say about. So, Pierce Brosnan's outfits for Black Adam, Kev, what's your thoughts on it?
It looks amazing. I actually can't wait to see him as Dr. Fate. I don't think Dr. Fate's been given a real good push before. You've seen him now and again and other things. He showed up in Smallville for a wee bit. But he's never really showed up as like a full big blowing character when he is so integral to that universe. And I'm glad that they're actually bringing him in and hopefully using him well. The good thing is they've got the costume right, which I was happy about.
Yeah. Well, and having an actor like Pierce Brosnan, I think, will give it the gravitas that it needs. And I'm glad that when they had the whole Shazam's getting redone, like Aquaman's getting postponed, I was like, please don't postpone Black Adam any further. Give The Rock a break.
I know.
But it's meant to have been out like 5 years ago. It still hasn't happened.
2018 is when that was supposed to be.
Like,
I must admit, when I saw your post earlier, I thought it was a brand new actor. I thought, oh, that sounds like this particular actor, but it's a new actor because you'd actually spelt it Piers Bronson.
Yeah, autocorrect.
Yeah. That would be quite interesting. Imagine getting Bronson, like, the convicted prisoner. What to be that? That would. He said all his life he wanted to be famous.
Yeah, he did.
It would just become less of a superhero film and more of a snuff film. But imagine a real life brawl between Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Charles Bronson. You heard it here first, guys.
Make it happen.
Definitely. We've certainly got the bums on seats. And the other one that I'd seen, it was related to Batgirl, what Susan, as we were talking about. Did you see the post from? And it was a young girl who had been cast as like a young Batgirl, and she was promised the photos of her, like the stills from playing it, and now because it's been deleted, she's never going to get them. So her dad's trying to get an appeal going to get those photos for her. I see. It's one thing to mess about all the grown-up people. Don't mess about what a kid's dreams. This would have been something that she would have been telling all her friends about. Screw NDAs. You wouldn't have had a clue.
Yeah. It's a shame because, as a child, she's obviously still growing. Her brain is developing. She's taking on board what adults are telling her, people who are supposed to be in the know. And what she learned, she's learned, work really, really hard. You will get into this amazing film. But, oh dear, us adults have decided not to go ahead with it. Don't care what you did. Despite the fact we promised you all these things, nah. How's she going to grow up trusting people?
Yeah.
It was the same deal with, any like child actors, like Mara Wilson and Macaulay Culkin, that they get disillusioned by it because adults who they trust are making decisions for their interests, supposedly, and they get shat on, supposedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. That'll be our new hashtag for this episode, allegedly.
Listen, guys, my stomach is really, really rumbling, and I managed to wolf down a couple of eggs, and well, I've got eggy breath. My stomach's rumbling.
Yeah.
So that's it. We've come to the end of the show now, and he's Super, he's Ginger, and I've been your host, Susan Sutton.